Welcome to War Bios, the podcast where we delve into the fascinating lives of history's most renowned warriors and leaders. I'm your host, General Biography, and today we're going to explore the life of Vercingetorix, the legendary chieftain who led the Gauls in their epic struggle against the Roman Empire. Born around 82 BCE in the region of modern-day France, Vercingetorix would go on to become one of the most iconic figures in French history, known for his bravery, strategic genius, and unwavering commitment to the freedom of his people. The year is 82 BCE, and Vercingetorix has just been born in the town of Gergovia, nestled in the heart of the Arverni territory. His father, Celtilis, was a respected chieftain among the Arverni, known for his wisdom, courage, and diplomatic skills. Vercingetorix's mother, whose name has been lost to history, was likely a member of a noble family, and her influence on her son's early life would have been significant. As a young boy, Vercingetorix would have grown up surrounded by the sights and sounds of ancient Gaul. He would have played in the rolling hills and forests surrounding Gergovia, learning the skills of hunting and warfare from his father and other experienced warriors. The Arverni were a proud and fiercely independent people, with a rich cultural heritage and a strong tradition of resistance against foreign invaders. Vercingetorix's education would have been rooted in the traditional ways of the Gauls, with a focus on martial skills, hunting, and leadership. He would have learned about the history and mythology of his people, including the stories of great heroes and legendary battles. His uncle, Gobanitio, a respected elder among the Arverni, played an important role in mentoring the young Vercingetorix, imparting valuable knowledge and insights on politics, warfare, and diplomacy. As Vercingetorix entered his teenage years, he became increasingly involved in tribal politics, attending gatherings and councils where leaders discussed matters of war, trade, and diplomacy. He would have met other prominent figures among the Arverni, including warriors, druids, and chieftains, each with their own perspectives and agendas. These interactions would have helped shape Vercingetorix's understanding of the complex web of alliances and rivalries that characterized Gallic society. By around 60 BCE, Vercingetorix had emerged as a prominent young leader among the Arverni, known for his charisma, intelligence, and military prowess. He would have been exposed to the intricacies of tribal politics, learning how to navigate the complex web of alliances and rivalries that characterized Gallic society. His reputation as a skilled warrior and strategic thinker would have begun to spread throughout the region, earning him recognition and respect from his peers. The historical context of Vercingetorix's early years was marked by increasing tension between the Gauls and the Romans, who were seeking to expand their empire into Gaul. The Romans, under the leadership of Julius Caesar, had already begun to make inroads into Gaul, conquering several tribes and establishing a foothold in the region. This would have had a profound impact on Vercingetorix's worldview, shaping his perception of the Romans as a threat to the freedom and way of life of his people. As we enter this pivotal period in Vercingetorix's life, we find ourselves in the midst of a Gaul torn apart by internal conflicts and external threats. The Romans, under the leadership of Julius Caesar, had been making steady gains in Gaul, exploiting divisions among the tribes to expand their empire. Vercingetorix, determined to unite the Gauls against this common enemy, began to rally support among the various tribes. One of Vercingetorix's most significant achievements was his ability to forge alliances with other Gallic leaders, creating a unified front against the Romans. He traveled extensively throughout Gaul, meeting with chieftains and warriors and using his charisma and strategic thinking to persuade them to join his cause. The Bituriges, the Arverni, and the Aedui were among the tribes that pledged their support to Vercingetorix, forming a powerful coalition that would challenge Roman dominance. In 52 BCE, Vercingetorix launched a bold rebellion against the Romans, using guerrilla warfare tactics to harass and disrupt Caesar's legions. The Gauls employed hit-and-run attacks, ambushes, and sabotage to weaken the Roman army, which was heavily reliant on its supply lines and communication networks. Vercingetorix also implemented a scorched earth policy, burning crops and destroying infrastructure to deny the Romans resources and shelter. The rebellion reached its climax during the siege of Alesia, where Vercingetorix had retreated with his forces. The Romans, determined to crush the Gaulish resistance once and for all, laid siege to the city, hoping to starve the defenders into submission. However, Vercingetorix had prepared for this eventuality, stockpiling food and supplies within the city walls. As the siege dragged on, Vercingetorix launched a series of daring sorties against the Roman lines, attempting to break through the encirclement and relieve the besieged city. Although these efforts ultimately failed, they demonstrated Vercingetorix's unwavering commitment to his people and his cause. Despite being vastly outnumbered and outgunned, the Gauls fought valiantly, inflicting significant casualties on the Romans. However, the siege of Alesia eventually ended in defeat for Vercingetorix, as the Romans breached the city walls and captured the chieftain. According to legend, Vercingetorix donned his finest armor and surrendered to Caesar, rather than submit to the humiliation of being paraded as a captive in a Roman triumph. Vercingetorix's rebellion against the Romans had far-reaching consequences, both for Gaul and for the Roman Empire. Although the rebellion ultimately failed, it marked a significant turning point in the history of Gaul as the region began to coalesce into a unified entity rather than a collection of warring tribes. The legacy of Vercingetorix would endure, inspiring future generations of French patriots and nationalists. His bravery, strategic genius, and unwavering commitment to his people have cemented his place in the annals of military history. After being captured by the Romans during the siege of Alesia in 52 BCE, Vercingetorix was taken prisoner and held in captivity for several years. According to historical accounts, he was imprisoned in the Tullianum, a notorious Roman prison in Rome, where he was kept in chains and subjected to harsh conditions. Despite his imprisonment, Vercingetorix's legend continued to grow, and he became a symbol of Gallic resistance against Roman domination. In 46 BCE, Vercingetorix was finally led out of his prison cell to participate in Julius Caesar's triumphal procession, a grand ceremony held to celebrate Caesar's victories in Gaul. As the prisoner of war, Vercingetorix was forced to march through the streets of Rome, clad in chains and wearing a simple tunic, while Caesar rode in a chariot, basking in the adoration of the Roman crowd. After the triumphal procession, Vercingetorix's fate was all but sealed. According to legend, he was executed by strangulation in 46 BCE, allegedly on the orders of Julius Caesar himself. The exact circumstances of his death remain shrouded in mystery, but it is believed that Vercingetorix met his end with dignity and courage, refusing to betray his people or his principles even in the face of death. Despite his tragic end, Vercingetorix's legacy endured, inspiring future generations of French patriots and nationalists. During the French Renaissance, Vercingetorix was celebrated as a national hero, and his image was invoked by writers, artists, and politicians seeking to promote French identity and culture. In the 19th century, the French historian Jules Michelet wrote a seminal work on Vercingetorix, cementing his place in the pantheon of French heroes. Today, Vercingetorix remains an iconic figure in French history and culture, symbolizing the country's long tradition of resistance against foreign domination. His legacy can be seen in the many statues, monuments, and artworks that commemorate his life and achievements, from the imposing statue of Vercingetorix at Aliche, Sainte-Irène, to the numerous paintings and engravings that depict his bravery and defiance. That's all for today's War Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, I'm General Biography reminding you to keep marching toward victory.